Outside New York City, Sam is receiving cancer treatment at a hospital as she has little time left. She feels hopeless and has few friends, with only her cat Frodo as a companion. In group therapy, Sam reads her poem, but the words only describe her hatred for everything around her. Caregiver Ruben never gives up on her, encouraging her and the other patients to go to the city to see a puppet show. Sam agrees, but only if they can eat pizza at a specific restaurant afterward. After changing her medication patch and putting Frodo on his leash, Sam gets on the bus with the group. As the bus crosses the bridge, Sam sees a series of jets flying overhead. At first, Sam enjoys the performance, but when the story turns sad, she feels too much empathy and decides to leave. On her way to the candy store, she sees a series of police cars speeding by. Later, Sam finds Ruben, who is having an important phone conversation. The call abruptly ends due to a loss of signal. Ruben tells Sam that the group must head back because something is happening in the city. Sam feels annoyed because they haven't eaten the pizza as promised. Ruben tries to comfort her, saying he's just trying to be a good friend. Sam reminds him that he's just her nurse. As they get on the bus, she notices the other patients looking out the window and hears strange sounds from afar. Sam runs over to look and is shocked to see meteors falling from the sky, just as an alarm blares throughout the city. A meteor falls near the bus, causing a massive explosion that knocks everyone down, their ears ringing. Sam tries to stand up in the damaged bus, walks outside, and sees the area covered in a cloud of dust. Injured people move past her as she tries to find her way, while explosions continue to echo throughout the city. Suddenly, a loud roar echoes near Sam, and a man is dragged away by his legs. Panicked, Sam runs and meets a soldier who tells her to find shelter, but he is also pulled away. Sam immediately hides behind a car with another person and witnesses a terrifying creature appear. She realizes that the meteor shower is actually an alien invasion. A man draws the creature's attention, and Sam continues to run. But at that moment, an ambulance arrives and is attacked by the creature. Another explosion occurs, and Sam is thrown against a wall, unconscious. A while later, Sam wakes up in a building, and Andre quickly covers her mouth as she coughs, urging her to be silent. Sam looks around and realizes she has been taken to a theater, where a group of survivors is hiding and tending to their wounds. Sam is reunited with Ruben and Frodo, but not long after, a helicopter flies over the area, telling the people to remain silent and hide until further instructions are given. It turns out that the creatures attack by tracking sounds, and they begin to chase after the helicopter, shaking the entire building. Frodo, frightened, runs off, causing Sam to chase after him and discover countless dead bodies. She accidentally steps on some debris, making a rustling sound, causing her to freeze in fear as Ruben catches up. They notice an alien creature walking outside and wait for it to pass. But unfortunately, Sam moves and accidentally touches a bell on her outfit, making it ring. Sam quickly picks up her cat and hides behind some furniture as the creature bursts through the door, rummaging through the area in search of potential victims, kicking aside the corpses. It even places its face close to Ruben but doesn't find him, confirming that these creatures are blind. At that moment, the helicopter flies by again, and the creature runs out of the building to chase it. There's another tremor and an explosion outside, but Ruben and Sam don't dare to move until everything calms down. Afterward, Sam washes her face and removes the now ineffective patch. She continues to check on a woman who is using a radio to pick up emergency calls from the authorities. It seems that a shelter has been set up, and they ask everyone to wait for instructions. They also advise no one to go near the bridge, and the patches on the spheres show that aliens are attacking worldwide. Suddenly, the survivors hear continuous bomb explosions and rush up to the rooftop, where they are horrified to discover the military destroying bridges to prevent the aliens from escaping as they cannot swim. The group watches each bridge being destroyed, and one survivor begins to panic, saying they're trapped and will die. Andre quickly covers his mouth, but the man resists, and they struggle until Andre accidentally slams the man's head into the wall, killing him. Later, while waiting for rescue, Sam tells Ruben that she plans to go to Harlem for pizza, writing it down. Ruben tries to convince her to stay, but their conversation is interrupted when the power goes out and the generator starts making a loud noise. In desperation, Ruben runs outside and quickly turns off the generator. But as he steps out, his clothes get caught and ripped, creating more noise. An alien creature suddenly jumps out and attacks Ruben, killing him while Sam covers her mouth to avoid screaming. As the sun rises, Sam takes Frodo and finally leaves the city to head to Harlem. On the way, she witnesses the complete devastation of the city, not just blood and fire everywhere. After grabbing some supplies from a store, she sits near a fountain so the sound of the water can cover her. She opens a food box and feeds Frodo before noticing two children hiding under the fountain, and she gives them some snacks. At that moment, helicopters appear again, announcing that the evacuation by ship has begun. At South Harbor, the noise attracts the creatures, causing them to start climbing the buildings to attack. Sam pulls the children into a tunnel, and they wait anxiously, watching the monsters run through the streets, shaking the ground and causing debris to fall. When things seem quiet, Sam decides to go outside, but a creature blocks the way with a piece of the building. Sam quickly runs back. The creature stops for a moment to check the surrounding area, but hearing nothing, it moves on. Later, Sam's group heads out and discovers that all the other survivors are also starting to leave their hideouts, heading toward the harbor together. Sam tells the children to follow the crowd, but she begins moving in the opposite direction. The footsteps of thousands of people at once attract the alien creatures, causing them to quickly jump down from the buildings to attack the survivors. People panic as the creatures throw cars and cause another huge explosion, knocking Sam to the ground. Frodo slips from her grasp and runs away in fear. Sam wants to chase after him, but the panicked crowd pushes her down as they try to flee, leaving Sam curled up, protecting her head from being trampled. Around her, others fall and die. Spotting a gap, Sam crawls under a car to hide. A man runs after her, grabbing her leg and begging for help, but he is suddenly pulled away by an alien. Sam's leg is trapped under the car, but she finally manages to pull it free after struggling and continues crawling to find her cat. However, her body is too exhausted and painful to continue, so she collapses in an alley. But meanwhile, Frodo is chasing a rat and stops to drink water from a flooded subway station. At that moment, Eric emerges from the water in a panic, but upon seeing Frodo, he gradually calms down and decides to follow the cat. Eventually, Frodo leads Eric to Sam. Sam tells Eric to follow the crowd, and she leaves with Frodo, but Eric follows her. As it begins to rain, they introduce themselves. Sam tells Eric about the ships, but Eric admits that he is afraid of dying alone, and Sam agrees to let him stay with her. By nightfall, they reach Sam's apartment. Since she lost her keys, Eric kicks down the door just as a thunderclap occurs, creating a noise cover. While Sam searches for her medicine, Eric explains that his parents are in England, and he came here to study law, but he feels like he's nobody. Sam shares her plan to go eat pizza, and Eric promises to help her, despite her objections. He also finds a photo of Sam's father, who used to play the piano, and a notebook filled with her poems. As Eric reads her writings, he realizes that Sam is a terminal patient with little time left. She stays behind to fulfill her last dream. When the thunder claps again, Sam screams in frustration, and Eric joins her. The next morning, Sam sees a creature appear at the window, but it's just a nightmare. She realizes Eric is still asleep, so she and Frodo leave without him. A while later, Sam stops at a bookstore ravaged by the attack, which allows Eric to catch up with her. He returns the poetry notebook, and Sam agrees to let him stay with her. When Sam stands up, she accidentally knocks over a few books, creating a noise. Immediately, they hear the sound of creatures approaching, so they run and try to hide in a building. The door is jammed by a bag, and Eric has to push hard to open it, causing another noise that attracts a creature right behind them. The couple starts running through the hallways, the creature chasing them and making sounds to call its companions, while the creatures leap through the glass ceiling. After wandering for a while, Sam, Eric, and Frodo finally make it out of the building and back onto the streets. Eric smashes the window of a car to trigger the alarm, drawing the creature's attention to the car and giving the group a chance to escape into the subway tunnel. Down there, they carefully move to avoid the dead bodies in the pools of blood, only to find a creature waiting on the escalator. Luckily, it doesn't hear them, so they quietly move away from it and eventually drift onto the waterlogged subway tracks. As they wade through the water, they see a creature in a hole in the ceiling, but it doesn't react. Just minutes later, they reach an area where the water is too high, causing Eric to panic as memories of almost drowning resurface. When the creatures draw near, Sam quickly covers Eric's mouth and tries to comfort him to keep him quiet. Unfortunately, a creature finds them, and the chase begins. They move as fast as they can, trying to keep Frodo afloat in the water. The creature is too fast and is about to catch up with them, leaving them with no choice but to stuff Frodo into Sam's backpack and jump into the water, swimming while letting the creature follow them underwater. However, the creature can't swim and quickly drowns. Eventually, the group surfaces and Frodo runs off while Eric helps Sam out of the water. They climb out through a hole in the ceiling and find themselves inside a church, where Sam passes out after dreaming of her father praying for her. When Sam wakes up, she immediately vomits. Eric notices her intense pain, so he asks her what kind of medicine she needs. Eric then heads to the pharmacy, and while searching for the medicine, he's startled by a noise, but it turns out to be just Frodo. After obtaining the necessary medication, Eric begins to head back, but Frodo runs into a construction site, and Eric has no choice but to follow. He moves stealthily and discovers the area is on fire, but Frodo is just lounging on a metal beam. At that moment, a creature appears and Eric quickly hides. However, Frodo is in a very conspicuous position on the metal beam. Eric begins to climb, trying to stay calm while hearing the creatures calling out to each other as they feed on the corpses. As Eric moves closer to Frodo, another creature approaches him, forcing him to stand still and wait until it moves away without hearing him. After a while, Eric and Frodo return to the church and give Sam the medicine. As she begins to recover, Sam explains that when she was a child, she loved watching her father play the piano at a jazz club. After the performances, her father would always take her to Patsy's for pizza. Eventually, he passed away from cancer, just as she is now facing death. Sam realizes that this is her final wish. Eric promises to bring her pizza. The next morning, they leave the church and head straight to Patsy's Pizzeria. But when they arrive, they discover that the restaurant has been burned down. Sam, overwhelmed with grief, cries and collapses. Eric quickly rushes to comfort her and asks about the jazz club. After a while, they arrive at the club, and Sam has the opportunity to charge her iPod while reflecting on her father's piano. Eric goes outside to find a pizzeria, and when he returns, he writes the name Patsy's on a pizza box, then surprises Sam with an actual box of pizza. They sit down to eat and drink to rest, and even Frodo steals a slice. Eric also finds a deck of cards and pretends to perform a magic trick, impressing Sam with a card trick. Later, they step out onto the balcony and see the ship preparing to leave the port, while many of the creatures are gathering around the shore. Sam hands her jacket to Eric, and together they finally head toward the port. They move cautiously, avoiding making noise and hiding behind a burned-out car where they can observe the creatures from a distance. Eric nearly panics again, but Sam helps him stay calm. Sam hands Frodo to Eric, urging him to run ahead before she leaves her hiding spot. As Sam runs around, she starts banging on several cars to activate alarms, causing the creatures to chase her frantically. Feeling weaker with each passing second, Sam slows down. On the ship, Henri witnesses the chaos and tells the authorities to wait for one more survivor. Seizing the opportunity, Eric hurriedly runs with Frodo, but they knock over a pile of trash, creating a noise that attracts the creatures. As they quickly close in on him, Eric jumps into the water where the creatures can't follow. After a final glance at Sam, Eric swims toward the ship, and the survivors help him and Frodo aboard. Once on board and finally able to rest, Eric discovers that Sam left a letter in his jacket, asking him to take care of Frodo and thanking him for everything. Back on land, Sam sits crying, staring at an old family photo while listening to Nina Simone's Feeling Good on her iPod. She stands in the middle of the street, removes her headphones, and the music attracts a creature that appears right behind her. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching.